Massive Commanders trade update. In today's video, we will be discussing whether it's just sooner rather than later that number one wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin, gets a deal done to get him ready for game one of the 2025 NFL season. I'm your host, Azael Mejia, with Commanders Digest, reporting everything all Washington Commanders off-season, regular season, and anything between. So if you want to be caught up to date, everything Commanders, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And another video to add to this saga of craziness throughout the offseason that Terry McLaurin has not gotten a contract done with the Washington Commanders front office. We have every notification on everyone you could think that's possible, X, Instagram, even TikTok, to see if we get the notification, break in, McLaurin gets paid, break in, McLaurin signs extension, but we have not gotten it. I wake up every day refreshing my timelines to see if it's been done. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. But we do have an understanding, a better understanding, an update on where they're at when it comes to money, the numbers, because I have mentioned it before. I have seen some numbers, but it hasn't been official personnel, so I didn't want to talk about it. But we do have official personnel now who gives like the numbers of where they're at, and we're going to be breaking it down. Like I said, I got the quotes. I've done the research for you, so you don't have to. We got the stats. We're going to be breaking it down. But before we do that, if you're a new watcher, new viewer to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. NFL season game one is just 4 weeks away. We will be covering everything, like I said, regular season, anything between. We're going to be covering it here. Now, if you're a returning viewer, make sure you are subscribed, because 87.5 of y'all who watch the videos are not subscribed. That's crazy, because it's for the free skis. It doesn't charge you nothing, and it takes like 2 seconds. Legit, YouTube makes it easy. You can legit subscribe while you're watching the YouTube videos. But like I said, if you've been watching the video, we've been covering every step of the way of this roller coaster of emotions of the off season. If you haven't seen those videos, go watch them after this one. Where we thought everything was looking good, there should be no problems of paying them, and then they go from morale being up here to then McLaurin coming out saying we haven't talked in weeks, and then you have Adam Peters training day one, comes out and said we value him, we want to give him a long-term deal, and then McLaurin coming out and saying I feel disrespected, I don't feel like I'm being valued, and now we have an understanding where the numbers are looking like. We're going to be breaking it down with the first quote right here from Jeremy Fowler from NFL Insider, just explaining where the gap is with McLaurin getting paid, saying this: they have been far apart. Fowler said about the negotiations between the Commanders and McLaurin. As shared by Joseph Zucker of Bleacher Report, McLaurin has wanted metrics of the DK Metcalf contract, which is $32 million. I'm told the Washington Commanders have only been slightly above where he was before, which is $23 million. So take that gap. That's $7 million to $8 million that they have to bridge. W quote by Jeremy. I would think W reading by me, but just out negotiations from the Commanders front office. Because what do you mean you just want to go slightly what you're already giving them, $23 million? Because based on what numbers you look at, he's going to be paid $19.6 million in 2025. So you're telling me for having one of his best seasons last year, being number 2 in touchdowns, having another All-Pro, having another Pro Bowl selection, and you just want to give him, let's be exact, can I get the numbers right? 3.4? 3.4? I mean, what we're talking about millions, but comparing it to these players, what they, it's just, chump change. So you only want to give them a 3.4 million raise after helping lead the team to the NFC Championship. I don't really. And we have talked about DK Metcalf in the past, but I just think comparing certain wide receiver contracts is like comparing apples to oranges, because when DK Metcalf got that contract, he got it from the Seattle Seahawks. So I want to be careful how I don't want to talk down on any other team. But let's just say the Seattle Seahawks success window is not as big as the Commanders windows. I think that could be said. It's not like in Seattle, they're looking to pay a lot of money to a lot of people. They're definitely in that rebuilding stage. I think it's fair to say that. They're definitely on that rebuilding window. And so you're obviously going to give out money where you want to. So they obviously gave a lot of money to DK Metcalf to pay him, and then they ended up not keeping him. But now he's with the Steelers. Now the Steelers have taken on that contract. So I just believe comparing what they had to do in Washington with paying certain guys like Deebo Samuels, like getting guys like Laramie Tunsil, paying guys like Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner. Just you gotta there's a lot more personnel you got to pay in Washington compared to Seattle. Let me just say that. I don't know if I don't think I'm being negative when I say that. So obviously, when he got that contract with Seattle, it was under different circumstances. But once you look at it from a surface level, you can understand where McLaurin's frustration is coming from. Because when you do compare the numbers to McLaurin and DK Metcalf from last year, McLaurin sort of beats them. Now, I'm going to run some numbers by you, so don't be surprised at some of these big numbers I'm going to throw out at a quick speed. So you got McLaurin's 1,096 yards compared to DK Metcalf's 992. Now, DK does beat McLaurin when it comes to yards reception. DK has 15 yards per reception last season, while Terry only had 13.4. Now, this is where the big difference is. McLaurin's, like I said, second in touchdowns, 13. That doesn't even include playoffs, compared to DK Metcalf's touchdowns, just 2. And now, another metric I think people are not looking at is what we've been looking at throughout this whole offseason is the age. Because McLaurin will be turning 30 in September, and DK Metcalf will be turning 28 in December. So there is that 2-year age gap difference, and that can make all the difference because what we feel, what I see a lot of people not realizing is just the younger guys are always going to get the better contract. That's how it is. That's the nature of the business where cap space, TV deals, everything just goes up as years go by. So obviously, you're going to pay the younger guys compared to the older guys that are not going to get that big money contract like the younger people. And that just seems to be the case right here where DK Metcalf's age benefits him rather than McLaurin because it is unfortunate the timing where McLaurin's contract year comes the year he turns 30. What difference could have made if he was turning 29, 28? Could he have gotten a way bigger contract? That's far to tell from right now, but it's crazy to believe that they don't want to pay him for what he's done the last couple years. Like I said, one of the most consistent wide receivers, not only for the Commanders, but the whole league, having consistent 1,000-yard seasons with just a carousel of quarterbacks, and you don't want to pay him for the gap to be $7 to $8 million. It's pretty crazy. This close to the season starting. Like I said, we're 4 weeks away. But to go to the next quote from Jeremy Fowler as well, saying that the Commanders are getting calls. This is what Fowler had to say. Fowler added that Washington has got some calls about McLaurin this summer because there's some interest. There's some interest league-wide in learning whether or not the wideout would become available. For what it's worth, numerous reporters have said since McLaurin went public with his trade request that he likely won't go anywhere before Washington opens the season with a home game against the New York Giants on September 7th. W quote by Jeremy Fowler, obviously L reading by me, had a brain fart. But just to break this down, I have looked at this from different point of views, especially the last part, saying since McLaurin went public with his trade request that he likely won't go anywhere before Washington opens the season with a home game against the New York Giants on September 7th. God dang, that's more L reading. But obviously when people read that, like, some people are going to take it as, okay, he's going to be in a Washington uniform on game 1. That doesn't mean he's going to play. Because we have heard it before that hold in, whatever it takes. He could sit out these first couple games, and he's down for it, which is not the case we want to see. Like the quote says right here, there's been interest league-wide because we do understand the value that McLaurin brings to the team. So they go against the Giants, and these are games that they're going to need McLaurin in because whatever you want to say about the Giants, they're still our NFC East rival. I'm pretty sure the Commanders beat them both times last season. But even then, they have made improvements. Having a third overall pick, getting Abdul Carter, defensive edge, having Russell Wilson. Whatever you want to say about Russell Wilson, he still got that dog in him. Super Bowl champion. He did beat the Commanders last year when he was with the Steelers. Malik Neighbors is also a dog. So, I mean, look at it from the Giants' point of view. If there's a chance McLaurin doesn't play, that gives them extra motivation that, okay, there's still, whatever you want to say, because I'm pretty sure if we look at the betting odds, the Commanders are favorites to win the game. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that. I haven't looked at them, but I'm pretty sure that's safe to say. But knowing that there's a big possibility McLaurin holds in, he doesn't play at all. The Giants could take advantage of that, and then depending how, if McLaurin, and this isn't even considering if he misses more than one game. How can this affect the playoff standing for the Commanders heading into the playoffs next year? Because, like I said, big media companies are saying number one. I'm not saying that, but big media companies are saying number one. Will this be, if McLaurin does sit out game 1, game 2, will the Commanders regret not signing him earlier to get, can they go 0-2, split those games 1 and 2, and McLaurin doesn't play? We won't understand the nature of the situation, depending, because it's in the future. But what do you guys think? Do you think McLaurin getting that deal done should happen sooner rather than later? Will the Commanders regret not paying him earlier? Will they regret not paying him, or is it sort of the Commanders are going to regret paying him and then not getting what they paid for in the future seasons? You guys let me know. But if anything breaks within the Commanders atmosphere, it'll be covered right here on the channel. I'm Azael Mejia with Commanders Digest, and I'll see you in the next video.